this pedal board. This is that's a blues breaker. That's a guitar by itself, a blues breaker. And just for the hell of it, this is one of my favourite noises. Guitar tech, and that is an ordinary volume on track. So that's me. Here.
Is that your usual pedal board? The one
Yeah,
I use,
yeah, that's my pedal board that I use all the time. Keep it
same with the amp and the guitar. Is that what you use all the
I very often use that when I'm out. This one, the neck is just slightly too wide for the best rock and roll.
Okay.
But it's great for finger picking. You can do finger picking stuff on this as well. Cool. Who's next? Any more questions?
This is one of... People may have seen this name or this logo on just about anything that I post on forum, because I've had a thing about these guitars since 1980, a long time ago, when one of these was my first proper guitar. And it's a long story, but about just over 10 years ago, I wondered what the others in the range would be like. So I spent the last 10 years tracking down about a dozen different Kawai guitars. These are made in the 70s, made in Japan. They're all similar construction, solid mahogany with a big thick maple cap, 3-part mahogany set neck, a couple of humbuckers. It sounds very much like, I always compare them to the Yamaha SGs, which everyone knows about from the same sort of time. But I just had a thing about these guitars, and there aren't many of there never were that many of them around. They weren't that popular. It's not sort of a headstock you'd forget. Most people don't recognise it because you haven't seen it. It's not that you've forgotten it, you can't forget it because you've seen that. There just weren't that many of them around. And it sounds pretty much as you'd expect a twin humbucker mahogany maple guitar to sound.
How do you find the tuning on this kind of sorted headstocks?
This actually doesn't get a lot of play. Most of the Kawais I've got spend most of their time in storage in cases. And when I was thinking what should I bring today, I got this one out of storage. And I did all the wrong things. Did I slacken off the strings before I put it away? No. I just finished playing it one day and gave it a quick clean and put it in the case. And I got it out, having not played it for at least a year, and it was pretty much like that. I've not tuned it for a year or more.
They are standard tuners.
Standard tuners. Yeah. So, everyone else thinks I'm mad, but I like these guitars, and I've got now one of just about. This is a KS11. It's got a carved maple cap. Came in 2 finishes. I've got one of each. There's a KS12 came with a flat maple. No maple cap. It's a solid mahogany body. They came in 2 finishes. One of each finishes.
Like different switching and
Shove it on YouTube.
so this is without it. I've got an AC boost as well, which is like a tube screamer variant. Box boiling point. sleeve delay. You can get to oscillate. And a Magnivibe, which I think is really awesome pedal. They sound like the old Magnatone amps, the vibrato channel.
You have to play, what is it called, Mr. Sandman? Is it Mr.
Oh, I don't know how to play that. Yeah, we sound good, So that's me,
That's cool.
and I live just down the road, so it wasn't far for me to come today.
Cool.
Actually, I live opposite Phil.
Really imaginative thing, because it's basically just my initials in a sort of phonetic form, but there you go. I've brought a selection of amplifiers for people's delectation. The interesting one, the one which people sort of seem to be interested in, is this one, which, while it says Behringer on the front, it's no such thing. That's actually one of the amp maker guy's kits. It's an SE5A, 2 valves, 1 ECC83 in the preamp, 1 EL84 I think it is, power amp, class A, 5 watts. Put together on my dining table. Took me probably total of about 5 evenings to do it, about an hour and a half at a time, being very, very careful, one bit by one bit. Excellent instructions, worked first time. I was impressed enough that it worked. I was even more impressed when it turned out to sound like that. Which I thought wasn't bad for something I put together like myself on the kitchen table.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, you know, obviously anybody who wants to play that, they're very welcome. Brought them 2 guitars around. This is the PRS Myra, which is like a variant on this man's different wood, all mahogany, really tarty, sparkly purple colour, which kind of grown on me. I'm probably well known for sort of like making sort of ambiguous comments about this guitar on the board. Basically, when I'm in a band and I'm playing regularly, I love it. It's just fabulous. You pick it up, it's in tune, it's rock solid. It's got really good range of sounds, like with the coil taps and things. When I'm not, when I'm just playing at home, somehow it never quite catches my imagination. I'll always pick up something like, you know, a Telecaster or a Strat, or even like the PRS SC soap bar I've got. It's not a criticism of the guitar. I think if anything, it's probably the guitar's a little bit too good. It's a bit too slick, and it just kind of like slides off your attention somehow. But as a working tool to actually sort of play out and dig with, it's just absolutely fabulous. Coil taps on there as well, so you can get quite. Which I think works rather better than the coil taps do on most guitars.
Are you straight into the amp?
Sorry?
Are you straight into
Oh
the
yeah,
amp?
that's straight to the amp. The thing about only 5 watts is that you can actually turn it up quite loud. That's probably on about 2/3 volume at the moment, so if I turn it right away back. Which is, you know, it's not quiet, but it's not insanely loud. But it does sound rather wonderful.
What speaker is it?
At the moment, that's through the Marshall
Oh, okay.
2x12 there. I can flip it over. this is actually, at the moment, this has got the speaker which was originally in that. I did get a Taden Ace 25, which is like their variant on the Celestial Blue theme. But just out of curiosity, I thought I'd swap that over into the Super Champ, and I can connect to this, so it stayed there. But 3 speaker, which is a little 10-inch linear. Goes all Fendery.
That would record quite well because it's got lots of punch in the middle, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, it's certainly that. Maybe if I drop it again. It does actually do clean. So I'm kind of pleased with how that turned out. Any who wants to play with any of this stuff, be my guest. One in the middle, Fender Super Champ. Those are actually, I gather, becoming quite rare and sought after. That's one of the sort of like the early to mid 80s ones when Paul Rivera was in charge of the amp development there. It's American built, it's all handmade, point to point wide inside, about 18 watts. And it's a lovely, lovely, typical Fender, clean, sparkly, shimmery thing of joy and wonder. I think it's actually like, you know, the clean tone of God's, but that's just my opinion, so that's worth a look as well. The meter on the end, that's just best all-round giggy tool you can imagine. Pick it up with one hand, loud as you like, massive range of tones. Not even going to start to try and demonstrate that because it takes you long, but you know, if people want to come play and flick switches and things, then feel free to enjoy it. And that's me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, good to go. Then what hand I can use?
Thank you. There's a room for them.
Check each other.
Kiddies in sweet shops springs to mind.
Through the black one.
Through the black one. Now, unlike what everybody else has been saying, this is a Gretsch and therefore won't be introduced. It nearly is. It nearly is. It's nice to get, isn't it? I'm Nick, Monkey Hote on the forum. I have no idea why that's my username.
Yes, you do.
Well,
Yes, you do.
it's a very silly joke from university about reenacting the musical, which Sam Beckett jumps into somebody playing the character of Don Quixote in a musical in Cottonwood. Some drink had been imbibed, and we were wondering whether it could be reenacted with monkeys. That's where that comes from. I don't have any gear that's old and sentimental because I flip it all too fast. So I just thought I'd show you my prettiest guitar, which is this, which is a Gretsch Tennessee Rose. It is made in Japan, and it is, I think, a 1994. And it is from the period when it would be a Chet Atkins, but it's from the period when Chet Atkins had defected to the dark side and was on Gibson. So it is not a Chet Atkins signature, though it is a Tennessee Rose. I got this about 5 years ago from a German fellow who's been touring it all around Europe in a rockabilly band. And some of you will be horrified to hear, some of you will be delighted to hear, took the Bigsby off it. So some might say it needs a Bigsby, others may disagree. It's got filtertrons and it's really quite nice. I found this guitar quite surprising actually because I always wanted to own a Rickenbacker and then I played a Rickenbacker and absolutely hated it because it had a funny little neck and was really hard to bend and I just generally found it horrible. I know it's heresy. And I kind of always thought, well, I'll get a Gretsch and then, you know, it won't be what I expected, but actually it's a really nice guitar to play. It's got a Fender scale, which people wouldn't necessarily expect, and it's a reasonably skinny neck as well, and just quite a nice sort of clean guitar record as well, and generally pretty good. Does sort of what gets used for a lot of the rhythm guitar and AC/DC, so it's a nice little guitar. I have brought with me today this and G&L ASAT Special, which anyone's welcome to have a go on. And I've also brought a Hughes and Kettner Pure Tone, which I have absolutely no idea about because I swapped it with Travis the dog about 3 days ago. I've actually had a chance to turn it up loud, so it may be the best amplifier you've ever heard. Might be a massive pile of shit. So we'll find out when we turn that up. I've also got my Warwick Streamer, which hasn't been out of the bag since December, so might be a pile of sawdust for all now. Oh, and lots of pedals. So yeah, if anybody wants to have a go at any of my gear, just give me a shout. Cool, that's me.
No. So why is that a master volume? I didn't know what the controls are.
It's all a bit weird. It's separate. I think it's separate volume, master tone, and then master volume. I have no idea. I just use the master volume, leave both volumes up all the time, and then tool with that one. Some of them have a weird tone switch there as well. Hey?
The mud switch.
Yes, exactly, which is kind of vaguely useless, and I think those ones don't have a tone control. But yeah, so it's a nice little guitar. It's surprisingly nice to play, unless you want to get up here, in which case it's just completely impossible. If you need to play something in F sharp or higher, in bracket, because it didn't go any higher than that. Just about F sharp maybe.
Or you have to thumb or whatever.
You have to do that. Yeah, I don't do that. So I don't get any further than that, so it's all alright. Anyway, that's me.
Yeah, I guess once you can compare it to something, you know, but take it into isolation.
Hey guys, I'm Matt. Matt Jim Forum, JG's son. Yeah, most of my fun stuff's up in Bristol, which is where I go to uni at the moment. So this is kind of what's left. Which is Gibson SG. I think it's late 90s, possibly early 2000. Down Echo DC 59 12 string and the Pro one, so it's got the metal bridge, so it actually restrings and stays in tune, which is a bonus. And then this, which is not quite as stupid as it looks. It's a frameless Streetwalker, made in the German custom shop with all the Warwicks and everything. So yeah, I also brought one pedal, the DoD FX66 Flashback Fuzz, something that no one's ever heard of. They've made about one run of them in the States and then about 2 in China. And it's the first effects pedal I ever bought, so I thought, hey, why not? I will warn you now, it is nasty. It is the nastiest fuzz you'll ever hear. Yeah, I've got one of my heaping today, so you can't tell quite so much, but I very much came out of the punk scene, the ska and stuff as well. So I ended up with this guitar, oddly enough, for that sort of thing. It's kind of slightly compressed metallic tone right through. It's kind of the funky rhythm sounds. If I could play it, that would help. But right through to all the kind of like punk rhythms and things. And yeah, and I've got this, which I bought a few years ago when I was going through a bit of a Jack White obsession. So that's a sign for how nasty this actually is. You have been warned. So yeah, that's me. Kind of got slightly unusual stuff over in the corner. Give me a shout, but you know, feel free to have a go with anything. Only thing to be warned of is this only got restrung this morning, so it will go out of tune if you go a bit mad on the Floyd Rose.
So is that built in Germany, you said?
Yeah, it's the Warwick custom shop where all the proper frames is built as well. I mean, this cost me about 400 quid that came out the back of a warehouse and was in a horrendous state.
Oh, okay. So how did you? So you had the chance to try it before?
No, I bought this completely blind.
Yeah, what is the song?
Well,
It's not supposed to.
that's really that's quite okay.
It's my job to ignore you.
What's your name?
Jason, my name is. On the form it's JGTR, but that was not for anything exciting recently. First form I ever was on was for Peugeot 306 GTI. So all the Jasons or anything like that were taken, so in the end stuck GTI. So, right.
Oh, that's
Roadie.
Well, all I've got to say is really, I've always had a Les Paul ever since 1996 and never played anything else. And I wanted something with P90s in, and I ended up getting a Black Dove Telecaster which had P90s on it, and then I got, which wasn't that good, surprisingly.
No?
But,
How
I
come?
got a taste for it.
What didn't you like?
It didn't sound like the Les Paul Junior. It didn't sound like the Telecaster at all. But I mean, it's a nice guitar to have as well as. But so I sold that for a real telly. I desperately wanted a 52 reissue. And I kept trying and trying, and I didn't like the neck radius. I didn't like the ashtray bridge. In the end, I bought this, which is just a 60th anniversary. It's a USA telly with a nitro finish. Don't really like the look of it. I'd rather have 3 saddles, but it's a much nicer guitar to play, I think. So that's it. Really. That's it, really.
What do you use it mainly for? Do you play in bands? Or
I used to in other life, yeah, about 10, 12 years ago, yeah.
nowadays?
But I haven't played, no. Well, I met my wife, she plays the drums in my band, and in the band we played, but we haven't played for, we are thinking of starting up again. The children keep getting in the way. But anyway,
Just to respect the corner.
so we had like 5 years where I didn't even all the guitar stadium places, and I never played, but started
Aren't you
a couple
missing it?
years ago. Sorry?
Aren't you missing it?
Aren't I?
Yeah.
What, playing in a band?
Yeah.
No, because I'm not that good at the moment, so I wouldn't be, I used to do a lot better, whereas no, I'm playing it up a bit more, so. So, yeah, that's it really. If you want to have a go on this or Les Paul.
Les
you're
Paul.
welcome to. You're welcome to.
I haven't played with this.
I'll get it out if you want, but it's nothing exciting to say.
Well, thank you.